That's the price tag for Deebo Samuel, is 2 ones. Would you be willing to do that for Deebo Samuel when you have holes all over your football team if you're the Eagles? And when I say holes all over your team, I'm talking about, remember something here, I'm talking about building a Super Bowl contender year in and year out.
It's the biggest, most important draft in the history of this Philadelphia football franchise. The JAKIB Media Sports 2022 NFL Draft Special. Live on 6abc.com from the Ocean Casino and Resort in Atlantic City. Presented by First Trust Bank, the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. IBEW Local 98, Stateside Vodka, United Healthcare, Mesa Law, 6ABC, and Budweiser, the official beer of the Philly sports fan.
I may owe somebody some time here. Welcome aboard the National Football Show with your boy Big Sills. By the way, JAKIB Media, gigantic week, man, when it comes to the NFL draft. And we appreciate everybody coming this week to the channel. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough on what this week means to all of us here, because this is where people's passions really start shining. What do you do during the draft? There's some free agent conversation. And by the way, don't forget, JAKIB Media, Thursday night, 8 o'clock starts at Joyner. Everybody is going to be there at Oceans Casino having an absolutely spectacular time. And I hope you'll join too, because this is going to be a great week. This is going to be a great week to determine what direction the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be going in when it comes to this draft. I'm hearing all kinds of things, okay? I'm hearing all kinds of things when we're talking about the Eagles and how they're looking at potentially some free agents that are out there, and also what do they do in the NFL draft. By the way, here's the word. Eagles want edge rusher and wide receiver. I would like to do this. I would like the Eagles to go in this direction when it comes to Thursday draft. I'm going to get to that here in a second. I do want to start by saying this. Last night I watched the Sixers play against the Raptors, and I want to say this, and I want to throw this out to Daryl Morey, the general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers. Do not re-sign James Harden. There is no way. There is no way. Have you ever seen a deal? Have you ever seen a deal where both teams lost? The Nets lose, the Sixers have lost. Have you ever seen a deal like that where both sides are not getting anything in return? It's incredible to watch. Hey, Embiid's injury is definitely changing the direction of the series. There's no question about it. Some loose basketballs that he would usually go after, he's not, because obviously he's protecting his injury. I'm just saying this, man. No question about it, though. If you're Daryl Morey, I know that's your boy, but you really have to decide whether or not that guy is the future and part of your future in Philly. Me, I say no. No way, man. Yeah, I see some of you saying too, hey, man, what's up? The Nets supposedly have the two greatest dynamic duos when it comes to scorers in NBA history. You were swept. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving now are on vacation. Think about that. Two greatest duo scorers are now on vacation. You know what, too, the NBA you're looking at now? This is the world of Giannis. You know who Giannis is starting to remind me of? Think about this. Tell me if I'm right when you say this. Tim Duncan, Giannis. Don't those two guys they're not flamboyant. They're the big fundamentals. That's what Shaq used to call Duncan. Don't those two guys, don't look for the limelight? They're not on social media. They're not doing things in the public. They just go out and ball and play basketball and carry a franchise. And what I love about Giannis is Didn't matter where he was drafted, Los Angeles or Milwaukee, he was going to deliver an NBA championship. That guy is old school. That's why you root for Milwaukee. You root for Milwaukee because Milwaukee looks like an old school team. They're not out talking shit. There's no drama on their team at all. And they just go and play. I don't know if they're going to be back-to-back champions, but you know what I love? I love the temperature of that organization. I love how they do business. They don't want drama guys on their team. They just want basketball players, and they just want skilled people to go out and try to deliver a championship and represent their community. That's what makes that special. Look at what you had in Brooklyn. Holy cow. Just so much noise. And that's one of the things the NFL hates when it comes to their locker room. They hate the noise. Doesn't the Greek Freak remind you just of old school hoop, though, man? Actually, old school sports. Amazing. Just absolutely amazing to see that. And you're seeing a lot of old school teams with that fundamental mentality having great success. We'll see what happens with Phoenix. Booker being out, that's hurting them in the West. What a shocker what's going on with New Orleans. That team's being run by the Benson family and their football people. Who would have thought that the Pelicans would be a better basketball team without Anthony Davis? It's happening. Think of that. The Pelicans are better without AD. All right, let's get into this football week that is going to be, in my opinion, one of the best weeks of the year. I love the draft. I love the draft week. I do my due diligence at looking at all of the people that go into the draft. By the way, bottom of the hour, Merrill Reese, the legendary voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, will join us. Merrill's got 6 guys he loves in this draft. He's got 6 guys. So, now we're number 2. The creator of the value chart, recently inducted Hall of Famer Jimmy Johnson from the NFL on Fox, will join us at 4:30 Eastern time. Power-packed week, man. JAKIB Media's got you covered when it comes to the NFL draft, and we're so proud that you're here with us. Please hit the like button. I'm going to get to my rankings. I ranked the top edge rushers and wide receivers in this Thursday's draft. This is reported now that the Eagles are making an emphasis on these 2 positions, edge rusher, wide receiver. And I ranked the top 10. I'm going to get to that here in a minute. So John Lynch has come out this week, and his pre-draft conversation, on one hand, he says this about Deebo Samuel. I can't imagine us moving him. But then he talks about taking calls and potentially moving him, which means this: he wants 2 ones for him. That's the price tag for Deebo Samuel, is 2 ones. Would you be willing to do that for Deebo Samuel when you have holes all over your football team if you're the Eagles? And when I say holes all over your team, I'm talking about, remember something here, I'm talking about building a Super Bowl contender year in and year out. Folks, that's how you build a dynasty. The Eagles are not a dynasty. Dynasties are things you do over a long period of time. You don't have to win back-to-back championships. I'll tell you what, you know what? Let me ask you this. What Donovan McNabb's Philadelphia Eagles did by going to those 4 straight NFC championships and winning one of them, I know they didn't win a Super Bowl. That's a dynasty. That's a small version of a dynasty. What the Eagles did in 2017 was a brilliant moment in franchise history. That's not a dynasty. That was the greatest era of Eagle football in the team's history. Was during the McNabb era and Andy Reid era. Am I right? But still, they didn't win the chip. I get it. And that's why it's not as revered. You see, the 17 Eagle team is more revered than any team in Eagle history. But that era is better because they were constantly contending year in and year out. I'll tell you this too. When they lost that last game at Veterans Stadium, what was that, guys? Was it 0-1 when they lost that? If they had beat the Bucs at home, at the vet. You don't think they go on and beat the Eagles, or the Eagles go on and beat the Raiders? The Super Bowl was that year played between the Bucs and the Eagles. Both those teams would have waxed the Raiders. 0-2? Thanks, Chris. I thought it was 0-1, my bad. 0-2 Super Bowl maybe, right? William, am I right? Eagles win that last game at the vet. They win the Super Bowl that year. And that's clearly a dynasty. Okay? Craig says, Reed era was great. We always had a chance. And Craig, that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. It's not have this. You win a Super Bowl, and then 4 years later, you're firing your Hall of Fame. I should take that back, because I don't know if Doug's ever going to be a Hall of Fame coach. I'll say Super Bowl coach. He wins the Super Bowl. He's fired in 4 years, and you guys only win 4 games. Okay? Right? We don't want that to happen again. And personally, I don't think this is what Howie Roseman wants. That's why he's really guarding these draft choices. Eagles were relentless in the Reed era. Jesse, that's a dynasty to me when you're constantly in it. People always look at that Buffalo Bills run where they went to 4 straight AFC championships. And you know what? That to me is a dynasty. Did they win the Super Bowl? No, but you were always in the conversation. You were always there. The Eagles are not like that. This football team this year, how many people are going to be a little nervous when they get out of the gate? Thank God it's an easy schedule. Thank God they didn't win the division. Because when you don't win the division, you get a lesser schedule. Right? Ernest says, I wish we could have Andy back. Yeah, but I wonder if the front office would want Andy back. Because Andy would want control. He's got control in Kansas City, Ernest. He didn't have as much in Philly. He had to share it, right? He had to share it. In Kansas City, after he got rid of John Dorsey, guys, Andy's the head chief in charge there now. It's his call, and I'll make this point. I think that's one of the reasons you see them walking back in talent. Okay? If you think Juju Schuster is going to open up all those passing lanes for Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, you're crazy. He's going to feel that this year. Travis Kelce is not going to be as open. Dude, when you got to worry about Tyreek Hill on the team, you're constantly worried about the plus 25 play that gets behind you. You're like, man, I can't let that guy get behind me. And Kelce's running like a maniac underneath. You know how many teams don't have that linebacker to cover Travis Kelce? 95% of the teams don't have that. That's why he's such a mismatch. That's why the tight end position has become such a vital part, because most of these linebackers don't have the athleticism to be able to cover some of these guys. The tight end position is incredible. Sills was high on Jermaine Johnson. I'm going to get to the edge rushers. I've ranked them, okay? I have ranked them. But real quick, before I get out, Xander brought this up yesterday to me, and I should have mentioned it yesterday. Xander goes, hey, how about Jalen working out with A.J. Brown? A.J. Brown of the Titans. I love it. I love it. But the only disappointing thing is, this is what I would say. So you work out with A.J. Brown and then you go back to your dudes. That's a drop in talent. Outside of Devontae. The rest of those dudes, man, you're throwing to a big league wideout. Quite frankly, too, I don't know how that's not tampering. You got an opposing quarterback with an opposing wideout working out together. I'm cool with it. I'm just saying, how do you know these guys? He wasn't sent there by Howie to do some recruiting. And you're going to, and everyone knows he's not showing up to OTAs or he's not showing up to mini camps. If you're the league, you're cool with that. If you're the Titans and Mike Vrabel, you're cool with that. Don't you think Jalen's doing this? dog, you and me in Philly with Devontae, we'll run the East. I mean, between us, wouldn't you say that to him? Wouldn't you go like this? Hey, dog, you're sitting around having beers after a hard workout. You guys get everything and you're having dinner and you look over at him, you're Jalen. Hey, man, what if Howie made a move for you? I'd love to have you here. We're working out together. You and me, man. You and me, Devontae, Dallas Goedert. Man, and we can run this thing. We'll beat the Cowboys if we add you to the team. I need you. We don't have really anybody in the room that's a professional wide receiver. Wouldn't you say that? Or would you just go about your business? Hey, man, Philly's great. Everyone's awesome. It's a great organization. They gave me my chance. I got another opportunity, 2022, and you wouldn't bring up the fact, right? I would look at him and go, come join me, man. Or is the organization steadfast into going into the draft? It's funny when I hear John Lynch talking about Deebo Samuel. In one hand, he's saying this. Hey, one hand, he's saying this. I can't see him not being on the team. Then he's going, well, we're going to do what's in the best interest of the 49ers. You kind of didn't put it to rest. I still think there's some noise out there for the Eagles to take a look at one of those two guys. You have to have a dual track plan. This way, this. What's in the best interest of the team? Are you really sold on Jalen? How about Jalen the recruiter? Come play with me. Hey, by the way, Jalen gets a check in the plus column here for this. Hey, AJ, let's work out together. He's taking a page right out of Tom Brady's. This is what LeBron does. He recruits people around the NBA to come and play in Los Angeles. He's a Pied Piper. Nobody who likes where they're working, okay, and goes out and recruits. If you hate where you are, you're talking shit on the place. If you like where you're working, you show up to work and you do your job every day and you're in a good mood. And you're selling it. Jalen's selling it. Okay? What if AJ recruits Hurts to the Titans? Jesse. Then that is kudos for Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman would want a high draft choice for Jalen Hurts. He's an alternate Pro Bowler. Put his team in the postseason. You and me could sit here and throw shade on him. Bottom line, this guy had a results first year starting. Is he better than Ryan Tannehill? I don't know. Would I want Tannehill on the Eagles? No. Am I okay with Jalen over Tannehill? Yeah. Spa says, I've been saying it, Sills. Don't forget, Merrill Reese, bottom of the hour. All right. Edge rushers. Wide receivers. This is the word going around all the draft rooms that the Eagles are going to make an emphasis on. I have ranked my top 10 edge rushers. I have ranked my top 10 wide receivers. Let's start with the wide receivers. Now, when I say this to you, know this and understand this. That stat that I gave you, that in the last decade, 60% of the wide receivers that have gone on to the Pro Bowl were not drafted in the first round, I think should play a factor here. Okay? I think you should think about it. Should the Eagles draft a guy in the first round at the wide receiver position? Big Chris, I'm not there. Number 10, Bo Melton, Rutgers. Very productive. On a not-so-good team. Greg Schiano's a friend of mine. Greg Schiano told me this kid here is a baller. Big physical guy. And I said this. He's not Mohamed Sanu. He goes, he's got Mohamed Sanu's body, and he's physical, and he's faster. Mohamed Sanu's only problem, he was decent when he was in Atlanta. Okay? He wasn't very good when he got into a structured situation in New England. Not everybody could play in that situation in New England with Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels, excuse me. Not everybody could play in that. Okay? Smile, I'm not taking anybody from North Dakota State. I am not. I don't know who they play. Absolutely off the board for me. Not interested. I'd rather have one of these other guys. Alec Pierce, Cincinnati. This is the guy that Ritter was hooking up with the entire time. Another rangy guy. Here's a guy that, by the way, I think all 10 of these guys are going to play in the NFL. Okay? Number 8, Jalen Tolbert, South Alabama. South Alabama puts a lot of folks in the National Football League. I thought about some of the people that they play. I thought about his competition. Okay? I know who South Alabama is. There's guys that have been in the National Football League that have come out of that program and excelled. I don't have to worry about so much the competition. This kid here, in my opinion, from what I was told, the only reason he went to South Alabama, you ready? Grades. Wasn't a very diligent student when he was in high school. So he went to South Alabama. Number 7, Treylon Burks, Arkansas. You know, the more I watch him, the least I'm impressed with him. I don't see explosion. I see physicalness. Will he be able to get separation on some of the talent cornerbacks? And will he be able to fight off linebackers going across the middle? I think he'll be able to do that. But I'm not seeing explosion. Okay? He's a gifted athlete. Okay? And the more I watch him, I have separation issues with him. He reminds me of the kid Harry out of Arizona State that's up in New England. This kid may struggle getting off the line of scrimmage here. Number 6, Skye Moore, Western Michigan. You watch this kid and you put his game tape on, you're impressed. Speedster, cross the middle, runs great routes, fearless. You know who he reminds me of? How'd you like to have Steve Smith on your team? This kid's a good ball player. He's going to go in the first round, in my opinion. Skye Moore, Western Michigan. Keep an eye on him. Put some film on him. Okay? Watch him. Hey, one above all, he reminds you a tad of Tyreek Hill a little bit. Okay? Number 5, Drake London. I'm just not impressed with him as a guy that I would draft, but he will get drafted in the first round. I think he got a lot of yardage and really in a lot of crappy situations. And what I mean by that is I think they're garbage time. I think he's big. I think he's talented. I think he'll play. But am I really going to put the 15th pick on him? Absolutely not. George Pickens. Now we're starting to get into the players that make impacts here. George Pickens, number 4, Georgia. I'm with Xander. This kid can freaking ball. Okay? He can ball. And the quarterback that he had on his team will never play in the NFL.